Mark Henry back on Your Mark Show, 105.4 RPWP, thepulseradio.com. Every week, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Man, this is like a celebrity to a guy like me that I'm talking to today. This is one of the gurus in recruiting. So if you've listened to the show before, in the past few episodes, we've been talking a lot of recruiting. You might want to listen up here and take these nuggets. This is a guy that I am so honored to talk to. We got James Lott. Coach Lott, come on in.
Hey, how we doing out there?
Man, we're doing great, man. I appreciate you joining us here on the On Your Mark Show, man. It's an honor to talk to you. What I want you to do is give us a little background on you for people who do not know a little bit about you, and then we're going to dive right into everything. So what you're doing now?
Okay, so I work for a company called XOS Catapult Sports. We're a national recruiting service, which is what we do is basically we work for about 250 universities nationwide across the country. And what we do is we go out, we've got about 25 scouts nationwide, and we go out and evaluate and we evaluate the top prospects in the country for these particular clients of ours. So in other words, we go out, one of my things, high school football games. I saw you the other day at the Pylon 7-on-7. We'll be at camps, we'll be at combines, we'll be at the Under Armour camps. And what we do is we are an extension of college program staff. We don't work for, particularly for the school, but they hire us on, they buy the subscription. And in that subscription, we basically have all the prospect information, evaluations, reports, phone numbers, contact information, so forth on the top prospects in right now, the 2022 through 2024 class across the nation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big group, and it's a heavy group, man. Definitely under recruited in some aspects, but that's because of the situation that we're going in. And guys like you and your company are coming in key, because right now we're in a dead period as far as recruiting goes with the NCAA, all the way down to Division III, starting with the big guys in the Power Fives. They can't have business on campus right now.
Right.
Right now, the dead period is extended till April, about mid-April, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you guys are coming in key right now.
Right. Yeah, and bigger so this year than any because of the pandemic. So basically, those colleges haven't been off their campuses since last March. And so we fortunately are independent. So we've been able to get to some of these camps. Once folks came back out last spring and summer, and did some camps and combines and lately in the fall and on until right now, we've been able to get out and get those up close prospect profiles on these top players across the state of Texas, which is the area that I do now. We were just at the Pylon 7-on-7 and saw some of the top prospects in the state. We were there, all the top guys were there. We had another scout, Dwight Thomas, who does Florida for us. He was doing the Jacksonville Pylon 7-on-7. We'll go to the Under Armour camps. Another thing, so what's happening right now is nobody really knows when all of this is going to end. Right now, like you said, the NCAA says April. We'll see. Maybe we'll open it up. Maybe we'll allow kids on campus, but coaches maybe can't come off campus. We don't really know. So a company like XOS Catapult serves these people by providing them that line of information, because we can go out to campuses and see kids. We can go, even though we were restricted in the fall, I was still at the Texas High School State Championship weekend. sat down and watched the top players across the state, wrote evaluations and reports, put all that information into the system and database, and then that information is what those colleges use to start their assessment of players.
All right, so you walk in now at a place like the Pylon event or 7-on-7 event. There are no pads, so these are mostly skill guys. These are guys that you're looking at. What are you looking for when you just walk in? You're seeing all of these guys. How can you differentiate, hey, this guy, before he even starts to play, what are you looking for? What are you looking to see?
One of the things I look at is, and coaches want to know that their attraction to things like 7-on-7 is to see how these kids look on the hoof. You'll often say, how does a kid look physically? And you got to understand that these coaches hadn't seen a lot of these kids in the last year. So I'll go up to a kid, say it's a big receiver, 6'4", 185 pounds, runs a 4.5 kid. I may walk up and stand right next to him and see if he's really 6'4". How big is his hands? How does he? One of the biggest things I want to see how he responds to coaching. Because that's so big these days. Coaches want to know, is he coachable? So I want to know, when the coach said get out or the coach said jog off the field, did the kid actually jog off the field? Or did he get an attitude? So all these things come into play when schools are making assessments on players. So they want to know, what type of kid is he? How does he work? Does he have great work ethic and stuff like that? And at a 7-on-7, you can really walk around because you're there all day and see that kid interact. You can see those kids, how they compete, how they interact with people off the field. Are they a kid that is going to argue with people on the sideline? All these factors come into play when schools are spending, thousands and thousands of dollars for giving out scholarships every year. So they want to know if they're invested in the right type of kid. So what we do helps them make that decision.
Wow, I wish I could rewind that back and repeat, because these are the things that we try to share with kids, with you being a coach as well. Myself, I've coached before, and here on the On Your Mark show, or just period, when I'm talking to teams or talking to kids, they see all of that, and you were there this weekend. We saw some different things, you know what I'm saying? And, with interactions with the referees, interactions between the parents and stuff, it gets a 7-on-7 tournament like this, a big one like this, it gets very heated. There are a lot of emotions going on, and you never know who has their eye on you. So everything you said hits the nail on the head for me. And I hope that people are listening here into that, parents and recruits and kids alike. You never know whose eyes on you. And that says volumes to me, and if I was a parent, had a kid that was heavily recruited, all of that, you're watching them warm up, you're watching them interact with the coaching, all of that. And yet you put that in your report and send it back to the university. Exactly.
All that information goes in that report. And most of it, say, I'm not going to name a school, but there was particular schools that I was on the phone with while I was at the 7-on-7. And they may have wanted to see a certain receiver, what's he look like? Is he having a good day or so forth? So I'm kind of going back and forth and saying, well, that particular kid, coach, I didn't see that kid. He wasn't here today. He didn't show up today. Or that kid's here. He looks good, coach, up close. He's got some big old hands, long arms. He's grown about an inch over the last year since you last seen him. Big, strong kid, coachable, and all these things go into play as we're going through this process.
Now, this also puts a stamp or a seal of approval on 707 as far as the recruiting aspect goes to. We just happened to be at an event where we kind of touched base this past weekend, and that was, a mega event for that. So that means if you were there were other people there like myself. Tons of media coverage, tons of social media coverage. Right. So those coaches get a chance to look at that, and they base that off of your feedback. So what the parent needs to know to make sure that their child is doing the right things, besides the things that you already named, coming from the parents, what can they share with the kid? This is what you need to be doing.
Remember you're auditioning for a job. I mean, these programs are investing $100,000 or more. Some of these big schools over a 4-year period would travel and into these scholarships. So you're applying for a job realistically. And so these colleges are the employers. And so they want to invest in, they want to get positive things from their investment. So remember, when you're out there, you're auditioning for a job. You want to go out there, have a good time, which is the main thing, have fun, compete at a high level. But remember that you're being watched all the time, and you don't want to screw up an opportunity because you got a bad attitude. Go out there and compete and play the game the way it should be played, and the sky's the limit to where you can go. Just make sure you're watching what you're doing, watching what you're saying, and things like that.
Well, definitely. Like I said, it's high emotion and high peak emotional type thing. Lots of things going on. And for someone like yourself to express that, I hope that kids continue to do the right thing. And for the most part, I think everybody did. They do. Within the natural realm, it was very competitive, but it didn't go very, very far. But I mean, football is a contact sport, even in 7-on-7. It's very, emotional. And I thought that they put on a great event. Shout out to those guys over at Pylon. Go ahead.
And Baron Flannery, who runs that with Pylon, he does an excellent job. I've seen that Pylon grow to the maker of 7-on-7s, where you go out now. They'll have one out in Mesquite in Las Vegas that they'll have in a couple of weeks. Now, I don't know how it's going to be with COVID, but in past years without COVID, it's a spectacle. There are teams from all over the country. And they do a good job of, he's out there, he's right in the midst of it. He's got his people coordinating and supervising. If there's a little flare up here, they kind of go over there and put it out. But they do an excellent job of running that thing and making sure that thing is top shelf.
They do a great job. And also my guys over at Champion 7v7, Jonathan Mumphrey, shout out to those guys too. Right. They do a great job as well. 707 is taking over, an AAU type of atmosphere. We spoke about that before we started. Right. It's really a place where kids can actually put themselves, on a certain level as far as the recruiting game goes. Right. Now, another question that I have for you is, how's the recruiting landscape changed? Now, take out the COVID aspect. In the past, it was a little different up until now, in your opinion. Right.
Well, it's changed a little bit. Like you said, now coaches are looking at more 7-on-7 and things like that. They're looking at camps, combines. They've even got situations where, and we do a little bit of this, where you get footage from camps and combines, and they look at that doing your assessment. So if you're a player out there, not only are they looking at your Friday night football tape, they're also looking at your spring football tape. They're going to look at your 7-on-7. If they've got some 7-on-7 footage of you, they might look at you at a certain camp that you go to in the summer. And so it's changed in that they've got all these different tools to assess you more so than they did in years past. So it's really grown. And the good thing is it allows them to get the best assessment possible But also on the flip side, it allows the kid with all the situations where they can go on these visits, or they can, look at a campus through Zoom or things like that, where they make the best decision they possibly can, because they're investing too in that route as a career.
Most definitely, and those are things that you have to think about. This is a business also, and these guys' jobs are on the line, livelihood as well, and that's Absolutely. Part of it. And the kids have to treat it like that as well, like you said before at the forefront. This is a job interview. They're interviewing you, you're interviewing them at the same time, your family and the athlete and the parents as well. And they're looking at the parents. I'm sure you're watching the parents' reactions to things out there as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and you do, and I'm one on the flip side. I've got kids that also compete, so I understand. But in the same sense, you gotta, you're competitive, but you want to kind of understand that there are people watching and things like that. And I'm not telling people what to do, but there are people watching, and you never know who might see something, or these days with text, I want kids to be careful on social media, what they're texting out, what they're emailing out, what they're, because nowadays you put that stuff out on Instagram or Twitter, that stuff stays there. And schools are actually looking back at kids' Twitter. That's the number one way where first thing they hear about a running back at DeSoto High School, they're going to go and look at his Twitter and see what that kid's about. Who's his other friends? Who all is he communicating with, and things like that. So you got to be careful and be smart with that.
Most definitely, man. And again, this is Coach James Lott, on your Mark Show, man. So welcome and so grateful that you're coming on today, dropping these nuggets. Now, another question I have. You've been in this a long time. Rankings, people get, mystified, or they get hung up on rankings, or, I'm ranked here, over here I'm lower, I'm not even ranked. How much do rankings play a part in recruiting, on a national level?
I think in the end, coaches do such a good job of evaluating and assessing players that if you're ranked 136 running back in the country, and you live in South Texas, Brownsville somewhere, if you can play, they're going to find you. If you can play, they're going to find you. And so in the end, rankings are good. I think that's good for some kids to come out and say, well, I was ranked the number 2 running back or the number 5 wide receiver in the country. But in the end, if you are a Texas Longhorn level player, or if you're a Permian Basin level player, that particular skill set is going to find you. Texas is going to find you on this side because you're that level. And in Permian Basin, if you're Division III, you're Division III. That's that. They're going to find you, and you're going to be Division III. If you're Division I, they're going to find you, and you're going to be a Division I player. There's too many avenues, and things have gotten too progressive for schools to miss on kids these days.
Most definitely, and I like the last point that you brought up. There's a spot for you somewhere if you could ball.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's enamored with the Division I. Playing on television, playing for Power 5, playing in the SEC, playing in the Big 12. But I think sometimes the little guy gets lost, and I'm glad you brought up a school like Permian Basin. You got the A&M Commerces, you got Mary Horn Baylor down in D3 National Championships. They still get talent, and they, kids want to go to the next level, which is the professional ranks. They're still coming to get those guys. Right. It doesn't matter where you play.
Right. And the NFL will find you at the same. They're going to find you if you can play. So spend more of your time actually working on your craft, studying your craft, taking care of your academics, taking care of your business. And if you put in the work, all that other stuff is going to find you. The schools are going to find you. The NFL is going to find you. And that's what I preach to my kids. Hey, don't worry about all that. Just go out there and play at a high level, play hard, be smart, make good decisions, and everything else will take care of itself.
Most definitely, man. I could just jump up and scream hallelujah for all the things that you're saying there. Right, where it's coming from. I understand who it's coming from. Right. But I hear these type of things, and we have these type of discussions all the time in circles. And, I think that you're hitting all the points of what I'm about and what I like to get my message out to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, another question for you here, stats. Okay, You got a guy, let's say, that was the leading rusher in the country, but he did it on the 3A level. And let's just go Texas here. But then you got another guy that say running back 1,500 yards, but he's playing on a 6A level, a state semifinalist team. How do coaches look at that?
I think they look at it when it comes to playing against competition, per se. If you're playing, if you go to the 5th round or to the state final in 6A and you're Duncanville and you're playing North Shore, well, you're playing against, that's dogs on dogs. That's the best in the country on the best in the country. Right. So a coach might look at that and probably say, well, this is just get a 5-star or 5.5 star, per se, because this is big on big, fast on fast. This is great on great. But in the end, some of the better players in the state have come out of small schools. One of the best running backs in the 2023 class is actually from El Campo. And he's one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. In the end, wherever you're at, I'll keep saying it, wherever you're at, do the best job you can do at that particular school and ball out, take care of your business, keep your grades up, stay out of trouble. And those coaches from the big schools, if you're Power 5, that's who's going to sign you on signing day. That's who's going to recruit you. That's who's going to offer you. If you're getting offers from 1AA's and that's all you've been able to get and you're, on your senior year, that's probably what you are, is a 1AA player.
Most definitely, man. You're hitting all the buttons for what I'm saying, man. You answered it perfectly. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is just great. You're on the OYMRC show, Coach James Lott. Coach, HBCUs, how often do you get players that go there? Those coaches reach out to you as well. I think Jackson, let's just take Jackson State with Deion Sanders and his staff, that new hire. I think the playing field may be starting to level out. What is your opinion on that?
Yes, I think it is. I think it all comes down to people's opinion of what's important. If you as a parent or you as a kid thinking HBCU is important and that's where you want to go, then that's who you allow to recruit you, and that's where you want to go. It's all about the experience for the student athlete. If you think it's better to go the other route, the Division I route, and all the other regular schools, then that's the route you go. I don't think there's I think there's a difference in the financial part that goes into the education and into the actual athletic programs. But you got to do as a kid and as a family what floats your boat, what's important to you. So if you think that the HBCU experience is the route you want to go with your kid and the kid is on board, then that's what you do. You want to go the other route, that's what you do over there.
Most definitely. And I think, like you said before, the coaches pretty much today know your level. Sometimes I think we get, enamored with Power 5 television, the bowl games, and playing the national championships. And sometimes parents get that misconstrued as well. So it's really good to be honest and have an honest evaluation. And what you guys do seems to be bringing that to the forefront.
Exactly. And a college education's a college education. Of course, you know, that's your ultimate goal. But if your ultimate goal is to go to a highly academic Harvard and get a Harvard type of education, Stanford type education, and you get that opportunity, that's what you do. But if that not what you want and you want an experienced quality education, but not Stanford and so forth, then that's what you do on that end. But whatever is that you want for your family and makes you happy is what I suggest that you do.
Most definitely, and that's the key. It's definitely a family decision. Again, Coach James Lott here on the On Your Mark show. Coach, 2 more questions and I'll let you go. First, the transfer portal. That's like one of the biggest things in college football right now. It's allowing kids to find new homes if they're not happy or things are not going that way. Sometimes, in my opinion, I think it's okay, but it's getting a little bit oversaturated now. Because my opinion on transferring before was the coaches get a chance to leave and start over, but the kids stuck. One coach recruits you, he decides, he gets a better job, or he moves on to the professional ranks, and this kid is stuck. Give me a quick rundown on your opinion on the transfer portal.
That's a tough one because I'm old school, so I come from the school where it's all about, hey, you made the decision, you stick it out. But bigger than that, my parents raised me on, hey, if you're a freshman, you're on the third team, fourth team, compete. If you go your sophomore year, you're still third or fourth, then there's something you need to do to compete better or get better to get yourself to come up the depth chart. And in our family, that's not an option to quit and go see if it's easier over here, But other families might not look at it that way. They might look at it as, well, they've got a quarterback that's great over here, but they have a quarterback that's okay over here, and my kid's better than this kid that's okay. So why don't we go over here and once again we're taking the path of least resistance, but at least it gives us an opportunity. But once again, we're back at whatever works for you. Like I said, I'm from the school where you stay, you work at it, you compete. But if on the other end, if that's what you feel is the best move for your family or your son, then that's the route you take.
Most definitely. I agree. I think it has its advantages and disadvantages. I think it has advantages for the right move for the right kid. Exactly. But I think it's just becoming a little oversaturated. But,
And these days, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
And these days, especially with the COVID and the fact that
it's working out.
Most of these 2021s never saw the campus that they're going to go to. So, it's not going to be a surprise if after 6 months, some kid gets at a university and says, well, I don't really like it. Well, they never really met the coaches. They never really, was able to visit the campus to see if it's the right fit. Because in the end, your decision should be based on what is the right fit for you, which is going to be a different fit than this other kid. So I'm going to go to Alabama because it fits me. The coaching staff fits me. The dorms fit me. The meal plan fits me. But so you got to pick what fits you and what's going to work for you, because in the end, it's all about you being successful and moving on and getting a college degree.
Most definitely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Student athlete first. With
Absolutely.
Student being the primary occupation.
Absolutely. That's why you're going. That's why you're going. That's the ultimate goal. You play the basketball or the football is a vehicle to get you there, but it's all about getting that paper and moving on, because of course later on in life, all you're going to be able to talk about is,
what you did.
And I used to be a cold.
That's everybody saying.
Right. But that's not the case once we get older. All you have then is that education.
No doubt. And I'll end it with this final question. Texas Longhorn football. That's a big time topic. Steve Sarkisian's taken over. In my opinion, I didn't like the hire at first, but he seems to be getting his feet wet, getting grounded a little bit. I think that Tom Herman, while the record shows that he was successful, just didn't develop the talent that he had there.
Right.
When I say that, when's the last time we can speak of the University of Texas first-round draft pick? When the University of Texas has been successful, it's been a quarterback-driven football team or a quarterback-driven program, i.e. Vince Young, Colt McCoy had two strong alpha males at the quarterback position that led those teams. So, I think they got by a lot on those guys' talent, natural talent, and work ethic as well. And they put the right pieces around them. You can go all the way back to the Vince Young time. Whenever that game comes on, you can go in and count the draft picks on your hand. Now you can't do that. The Sam Ehlinger era is over. Now you got some new blood and a new coaching staff come in. And then we talked about, before we got on today, I think shout out to my guy, Coach Gilbert over at Lancaster. Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing that Steve Sarkisian did, in my opinion, because he needs to get the attention of the high school coaches and the high school players. And he's well-grounded in that. They lost Rashad Samples to SMU off of the Herman staff. What do you think about the Texas Longhorns going forward?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of the Sarkisian hire. I think he'll do a good job. I think the important thing for any staff coming into Texas is to understand one thing, and this is the ultimate good old boy network. So you have to recruit through the high school coaches. High school coaches run the show in Texas. And so I think it's important for any staff that comes in and recruits. And I think Coach will have this attitude is you got to get out and basically recruit those high school coaches and keep them happy. And because I remember, and it's been years, but I remember the days when you longed, you were an eighth grader and you knew I was an eighth grader and I knew I was going to Texas. I could have went anywhere I wanted in the state of Texas and around the country, but I knew I wanted to go to Texas because it was, it was Texas. And my high school coach talked about it a lot. And so that's where I always wanted to go. So I think what they're doing by hiring these coaches that have those relationships with those, like Coach Gilbert, that have relationships with those high school coaches, it's that instant pipeline into those high schools. And I think in the end, because what's happened over the years, there's been some sort of breakdown with the communication or whatnot, what's going on with the high school coaches in Texas, because why else were kids leaving Texas and going all the way to Ohio State, or why are we always losing players to Oklahoma? We lost some players from Oklahoma over the years in the past and back when I played, but not like the level we're losing them these days. Those top guys should be coming and staying home. And so I think the biggest thing that I think Coach will do is I think he'll go about it and make sure we understand the pecking order here in Texas and the fact that we gotta roll those guys, keep those guys happy, those high school coaches, and in turn, you'll keep those players here in the state.
Most definitely. You said everything in a nutshell. Communication broke down.
Right.
There's no way that Ohio State had three top
Ballers,
receivers.
Right.
Ballers. One right in your backyard.
Right. One in Austin. What?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. Every time I turn the TV on, and I told my wife, that boy there from Austin, Texas.
Right. How did right in their backyard, right in your wheelhouse.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely.
It just can't happen no more. And,
yeah.
You know, that's my biggest bone to pick with University of Texas. How do you we can't let this happen no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like we talked before we started, you know, that's my biggest gripe with the University of Oklahoma is they've been plucking out players. We had Adrian Peterson. Come on.
Yeah, but we shouldn't hate them for what we're not doing.
I'm not. What I'm saying is I don't hate the program. I hate the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my biggest thing. They're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing. Today's game is not all about the facilities and everything. It's right now you got to put the proof in the pudding.
Yeah, because all of them got the facilities now.
They got the facilities.
Yeah, they all got the facilities. So
right. It's about championships and NFL draft pick stock. That's what it's about. Right.
That's why kids are going to schools now. That's all they're looking at.
That's all they're looking at.
Right.
Well, definitely, Coach James Lott, man. I appreciate you joining me today here on the On Your Mark show. Tell everybody where they can find out and reach out to you if they have any questions about recruiting. Let them know. Yeah, I'm at J Lott Scout on Twitter. You know, like I said, I'm at all these events. You probably high school football games. I'm at all the 7-on-7s, the combines, the camps. You'll see me there. Walking around. These days I'll have the mask on with the COVID going on, but I'll be there. So hit me on Twitter, send me your information. We're presently 2023s, 2024s, taking all information, putting the information into the database to make sure you guys are able to be access to our 250 plus clients nationwide that use our service. So once again, happy to be here. Happy to share a little bit of knowledge on everything and appreciate you having me on. Man, I appreciate you, man. Here on 105.4 RPWP, thepulseradio.com. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.